Do not fuck with humans, or there will be overwhelming aggression and force. That was the only warning Earth gave to the Galactic Prylorian Empire. Charles Murray gripped the alien metal armrests of his seat as the human shuttle descended into the jagged skyline of the Prylorian homeworld's capital city. The human ambassador had seen too many of Earth's fledgling colonies brutally subjugated, their populations enslaved or massacred, to mince his words with the ruthless Prylorians. He stepped off the shuttle ramp onto the stark landing pad, squinting against the glaring crimson sunlight. Towering Prylorian honor guards in gleaming exoskeletal battle armor snapped to attention, amphistaffs held at rigid angles. Murray walked between the twin rows of guards, back straight, eyes forward. The Prylorian Emperor Fornax awaited him in the throne hold. The human ambassador strode through vaulted halls of polished black granite shot through with veins of shimmering rare metals. Alcoves displayed battle trophies ripped from fallen foes, the crumpled command deck of a Silurian dreadnought, the skull of a Baravian sky leviathan, the charred standard of the Korzak heavy lancers. Fornax lounged on his raised throne dais, his silver filigreed combat armor a stark contrast to his ebon scales. The shrewd emperor flicked his forked tongue as Murray approached. "You bring a warning, human?" Fornax said in a rasping hiss. His slit-pupiled eyes glittered coldly. "Aggression against Earth or its colonies will be met with overwhelming force," Murray declared, his voice ringing through the audience chamber. He held up a data crystal. "This contains information on humanity's most advanced weapons technology." Fornax accepted the crystal with narrowed eyes. "We have developed warships and weaponry that could annihilate your fleets," Murray continued, his jaw clenched. "Any attack on humans would be the last mistake your empire ever makes." "You dare threaten us," Fornax growled, his talon-tipped fingers flexing. "The Prylorian legions have never met their match." "There's a first time for everything," Murray replied flatly. "Earth is not like the other worlds you've conquered. Test us at your peril." The ambassador turned on his heel and strode from the throne room, leaving a fuming Fornax gripping the arms of his command throne hard enough to leave gouges in the unyielding metallic ceramite. Back on the shuttle, Murray slumped into the pilot's seat and launched the craft into the blood-hued sky. The Prylorian Empire now had its warning. Whether the proud alien overlords would heed it remained to be seen. Meanwhile on Earth, the United Nations Security Council watched Murray's terse report on the confrontation with Fornax with grim expressions. "All UNSC military forces are being placed on high alert," the Secretary General said heavily. She glanced at her fellows around the table. "The Terran Defense Fleet is mobilizing, all reserve units are activated, and Project Overwhelm is being readied." The others nodded. They all knew the risks. They also knew what humanity faced. Slavery and extinction at the hands of the Prylorians, or a desperate all-out war for survival. There could be no half measures now. "Send word to our colonies," the Secretary General ordered. "They need to prepare for imminent attack and keep all intelligence assets focused on Prylorian space. We need to know the instant they make their move." In the heart of the Prylorian Empire, Emperor Fornax glowered at the human data crystal as if he could destroy it with his gaze. He signaled his counselors with a twitch of his tail. "Summon the War Council," Fornax snarled. "It is time we assess this human threat and burn their wretched species from the face of the galaxy." As the Prylorian invasion fleet streaked through the void of space, closing in on Earth with every passing moment, Charles Murray's secure comlink chimed with an urgent message. He quickly activated the device, his brow furrowing as he read the encrypted transmission from Ghost, a deep-cover human operative embedded within the heart of the Prylorian Empire. "Ambassador Murray, I've uncovered a critical weakness in the Prylorian flagship's defenses," Ghost reported, his voice distorted by layers of encryption. "The shield generator has a hidden vulnerability that our forces can exploit. I'm transmitting the technical specifications now." Charles's eyes widened as he absorbed the information. He immediately contacted Earth's military leadership, his words tumbling out in a rush. "I've just received intel from our operative. We have a shot at taking down the Prilorian flagship. We need to move fast." The generals and admirals listened intently as Charles outlined the daring plan. Captain Marcus Reynolds, a battle-hardened special ops commander, stepped forward. "I'll lead the strike team," he volunteered, his teeth clenched. "We'll get aboard that flagship and take it down from the inside." Earth's main fleet engaged the Prilorians in a fierce diversionary battle, drawing the enemy's attention away from the small, stealthy ship carrying Marcus and his hand-picked team. They docked with the massive Prilorian vessel, cutting through the hull with specialized breaching charges. Alarms blared as the human strike force surged into the flagship's command center, weapons blazing. Prilorian guards fell before the onslaught, their armor no match for the humans' advanced firearms. Marcus fought his way to the central control console, his movements a blur of speed and precision. With a triumphant shout, Marcus slammed a data drive into the console, uploading the malicious code that would cripple the flagship's defenses. Sparks flew and warning klaxons sounded as the ship's shields and weapon systems fell offline, leaving it vulnerable to attack. Seizing the moment, Earth's fleet unleashed a devastating barrage of cutting-edge weaponry, including the long-rumored superweapon. The Prilorian fleet, caught off guard by the sudden assault, crumbled under the onslaught. Ships exploded into fiery debris, and the once proud armada was reduced to a field of shattered wreckage. In his throne room, Emperor Fornax let out a roar of rage as reports of the devastating defeat reached him. His eyes blazed with fury as he rounded on his cowering generals. "You assured me of an easy victory," he snarled, his voice dripping with venom. "Your incompetence has cost us everything." With a flick of his tail, Fornax summoned his elite guardsmen. "Execute these failures," he commanded, his tone cold and unforgiving. The doomed generals pleaded for mercy, but their cries fell on deaf ears as the guardsmen carried out their grim duty. Desperate to salvage some semblance of victory from the jaws of defeat, Fornax turned to his last resort, a planet-killing doomsday weapon capable of reducing Earth to a lifeless husk. "Prepare the device for immediate deployment," he ordered, his eyes glinting with malice. "We will make the humans pay for their insolence." News of the impending apocalyptic threat reached Earth, sending shockwaves through the population. Charles Murray and the Earth's leaders faced an impossible choice. Evacuate as many people as possible and brace for the worst, or gamble everything on a last-ditch effort to neutralize the Prilorian doomsday weapon. Time was running out, and the fate of billions hung in the balance. Earth's intelligence network worked frantically to pinpoint the location and defenses of the Prilorian superweapon. Captain Marcus Reynolds, still flushed with the success of his daring raid on the flagship, stepped forward once more. "I'll lead the mission to take out that doomsday device," he declared, his voice filled with unshakable focus. "My team and I will do whatever it takes to stop it, even if it means sacrificing our own lives." As Earth's forces mobilized for the final all-or-nothing assault, cracks began to appear in the Prilorian Empire's facade of unity. Whispers of dissent and doubt spread through the ranks, as many questioned the wisdom of the war against humanity. Emperor Fornax, his grip on power slipping, lashed out at any perceived disloyalty, his paranoia and instability growing with each passing moment. He became increasingly erratic, demanding the immediate activation of the doomsday weapon, heedless of the concerns of his advisors. The stage was set for a climactic showdown that would determine the fate of two civilizations, as the Prilorian Empire teetered on the brink of self-destruction, and Earth's heroes prepared to make the ultimate sacrifice in defense of their homeworld. Emperor Fornax paced the command deck, his tail lashing violently. Screens flashed with reports of the fleet's destruction. He snarled, fangs bared. "Activate the doomsday device, now." His advisors shifted uneasily. "Your Majesty, the consequences—" Fornax whirled, eyes blazing. "I don't care about consequences. The humans must burn." On Earth, Captain Marcus Reynolds studied the intel on his datapad. There, the weapons in a hidden outpost. His team prepped their gear, Plasma rifles charged, stealth suits engaged. Their ship sliced through uncharted space. The outpost loomed ahead, a fortress of gleaming metal and crackling energy shields. Alarms blared as they breached the perimeter. Prylorian troops swarmed, plasma bolts sizzled past. Marcus dove behind cover, returning fire. "Push forward!" he shouted over the comms. They fought room by room. Bodies fell. Walls melted under sustained fire. In a secured data hub, Marcus downloaded schematics. Got it. A vulnerability in the core. A massive figure blocked their path to the control center. The Prylorian commander towered in battle armor. "You will go no further, human," it hissed. Marcus charged. They grappled, trading savage blows. The Prylorian's claws raked his side. Marcus gritted his teeth through the pain. With a final desperate surge, he snapped the alien's neck. Clutching his wounds, Marcus staggered onward. Almost there. Suddenly, elite Prylorian troops ambushed them. Led by General Zoran, they unleashed a barrage of fire. "We're pinned down," Marcus yelled. A familiar voice crackled over the comms. "Cavalry's here." Ambassador Murray burst in with reinforcements. The humans rallied, pushing toward the control room. Marcus reached the core. Alarms wailed. The firing sequence had begun. Only way to stop it is a manual overload, he realized. Marcus locked eyes with Murray. No words were needed. He sprinted for the reactor. "It's been an honor," Marcus said before cutting his comms. The core erupted in light. The doomsday weapon went dark. Murray and the survivors fled the disintegrating outpost. Prylorian ships gave chase, but the humans' stealth systems allowed them to slip away. On Earth, crowds cheered the returning heroes, but the victory was bittersweet. Meanwhile, Emperor Fornax raged in his throne room. Counselors whispered of his instability. Talk of rebellion spread. Fornax's most loyal general approached cautiously. "Your Majesty, there are concerns among the leadership." The Emperor's eyes narrowed dangerously. "Concerns?" Fornax's eyes flashed with murderous intent. "Concerns? The only concern is your lack of loyalty." He lunged at the general, claws extended. The hapless Prylorian didn't even have time to scream before Fornax tore out his throat. "Let that be a lesson," Fornax snarled, blood dripping from his talons. "I am the Empire. Dissent will not be tolerated." He turned to his communications officer. "Broadcast this message to all worlds. Martial law is now in effect. Any who question my rule will be executed for treason." As Fornax's decree echoed across Prylorian space, entire fleets and colonies erupted in open rebellion. General Zoran, a grizzled veteran of 100 campaigns, gathered his most trusted officers in a hidden bunker deep beneath the capital. "The Emperor has lost his mind," Zoran growled. "We must act now, before he destroys everything we've built." On Earth, Charles Murray worked tirelessly to coordinate with Prylorian defectors. "We can offer you sanctuary," he told a nervous alien captain over an encrypted channel. "Bring your people to these coordinates. You'll be safe there." Thousands of Prylorian ships streamed into human space, their crews desperate to escape Fornax's madness. But the Emperor wasn't about to let them go without a fight. "If they will not serve me, they will burn," Fornax hissed, activating the targeting systems on his orbital defense platforms. Searing beams of energy lanced down from the sky, reducing entire cities to ash. Millions perished in the inferno as Fornax cackled with glee. Charles watched the carnage unfold on his monitors, his fists clenched in rage. "We need to end this," he muttered, "once and for all." He turned to a gruff, battle-scarred human standing nearby. "Sergeant Drake, I've got a job for you and your team. How'd you like to storm an alien palace?" Drake grinned, revealing a mouthful of artificial teeth. "Just point us in the right direction, sir." For weeks they planned and prepared. Finally, under cover of darkness, Drake's team slipped past the palace defenses. They moved like ghosts through the corridors, neutralizing guards with brutal efficiency. As they neared the throne room, all hell broke loose. Plasma bolts sizzled through the air as Drake's team exchanged fire with Fornax's loyalists. "Push forward," Drake roared, hurling a grenade into a cluster of enemy troops. They fought their way deeper into the palace, leaving a trail of broken bodies in their wake. At last, they reached the massive doors of the throne room itself. Drake planted breaching charges and yelled, "Fire in the hole!" The explosion rocked the entire building. As the smoke cleared, Drake's team surged into the room, weapons at the ready. Fornax sat upon his throne, surrounded by his last few fanatical guards. His eyes blazed with insanity as he regarded the human intruders. "So," he hissed, "you've come to die." What happened next was chaos. Plasma bolts and bullets flew in every direction as both sides unleashed everything they had. Drake's team slowly gained ground, their superior training and weaponry giving them the edge. Just as victory seemed within reach, Fornax let out a spine-chilling laugh. "If I can't have the Empire," he shrieked, "no one will." He hit his fist down on a hidden panel in his throne. The entire palace shuddered as hidden explosives detonated throughout the structure. Drake was thrown off his feet by the blast. As consciousness faded, his last thought was of the mission. Had they succeeded, or had Fornax's madness doomed them all? The dust settled over the ruined Praelorian palace. Sergeant Drake lay motionless among the debris, his body broken but his spirit unbroken. Days turned to weeks as he fought for survival in a military hospital, the faces of his fallen comrades haunting his fevered dreams. When Drake finally regained consciousness, he found himself staring at a stark, white ceiling. The steady beep of medical equipment filled the air. He tried to sit up, but sharp pain lanced through his body. "Easy there, soldier," a nurse said, gently easing him back down. "You've been through hell." Drake's mind raced, fragments of memory flashing before his eyes. The explosion, the screams of his team, Fornax's mad laughter. "Did we get him?" Drake croaked, his voice hoarse from disuse. The nurse nodded. "Emperor Fornax is dead, but the war, it's not over yet." As Drake slowly regained his strength, he pored over intelligence reports. Rumors swirled of a new threat, a mysterious Praelorian warlord claiming to be Fornax's heir. Drake's fists clenched as he read accounts of extremist attacks on human outposts. "I need to get back out there," Drake growled, struggling to stand despite the protests of his still-healing body. Charles Murray visited Drake in the hospital, his face etched with concern. "We need you at full strength, Sergeant. There's work to be done." Murray's datapad chirped, displaying an incoming encrypted transmission. His eyes widened as he scanned the contents. "What is it?" Drake demanded. Murray's voice was grim. "Our worst fears confirmed. This warlord has acquired bioweapons, planet killers. We need to act fast." Drake watched in frustration as Murray left to warn the Praelorian leadership. Days passed with no action taken. Unable to sit idle any longer, Drake discharged himself from the hospital against medical advice. In a dingy bar on the outskirts of human space, Drake found his first recruit, a hard-bitten human mercenary named Vex. "I hear you're putting together a team," Vex said, sliding into the booth across from Drake. "Count me in." One by one, Drake assembled his ragtag crew. Humans, Praelorians, all united in their desire to stop the warlord's mad crusade. Their ship, a battered freighter held together by spit and prayers, blasted off into the void. For weeks, they chased whispers and rumors across the stars. Plasma bolts sizzled past Drake's head as they raided Praelorian weapon caches. The stench of ozone filled the air as they sabotaged extremist comm relays. Finally, after a grueling battle that left half their ship in flames, Drake's team cornered the warlord's forces on a desolate moon. Boots crunched on gray dust as Drake led the assault on the enemy compound. "We've got them!" Vex shouted, blasting the lock off a sealed door. But as the door slid open, Drake's blood ran cold. Inside, Praelorian scientists worked feverishly over vials filled with sickly green liquid. "The bioweapon," Drake breathed. Alarms blared. In their desperation, the Prilorian extremists activated the weapon. A hissing canister rolled across the floor, spewing noxious vapor. "Fall back!" Drake yelled, but it was too late. The deadly pathogen spread through the air with terrifying speed. Drake watched in horror as his team began to succumb. Vex collapsed, blood trickling from his eyes and ears. A Prilorian ally clutched his throat, scales turning a sickly gray. Tears stung Drake's eyes as he realized the full magnitude of their failure. The bioweapon was loose, and nothing could stop its spread across the galaxy. In that moment of despair, Drake saw a glimmer of hope. A Prilorian warship, its hold packed with fusion warheads, sat unguarded on a nearby landing pad. With a final look at his fallen comrades, Drake sprinted for the ship. Alarms blared as he blasted off. Plot.
You have reached the end of the story. If you enjoyed this story and want to support us, please leave a like and subscribe to our channel, and for every comment that says 88, I will heart every single one of them. Thank you for your time.